Hello, friends. I'm Dinesh Kivora. Welcome you all on this very special simulcast on the News Time and Loud India. Today, we'll be talking on the issue of Sri Lanka, the crisis therein, and how Sri Lanka has reached these proportions where the people are suffering immensely. They are suffering for food, medicines, fuel, and almost everything. There had been events for the last, you can say, few years rather, where the economy of the Sri Lanka had been going down, borrowed heavy sums from many nations rather and institutions, and the condition reached after the sudden, you can say, decision of having the organic farming all over the country, that also put the entire population under stress as far as food was concerned. And then one problem led to another problem, and the miseries reached such a level that yesterday, even the presidential house, prime minister house, they were all raided by, you can say, the angry people. When people get angry and they come on the streets, things become very, very difficult. Today, to discuss the latest what's happening there, we have very special guest from Sri Lanka, Mr. Tharaka Vikramasekhara, who is the editor of Silvana newspaper from Colombo. We welcome you on this show.
Okay, thank you very much.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
Doc, Dr. Ketan Shukla, who is a former Indian Foreign Service officer and ambassador of India in many countries. Welcome, sir. And Professor Sanjay K. Bhartwaj, who's very good friend and expert on the South Asian matters and also foreign affairs, and also from the JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, illustrious University of India. Welcome, sir. So the very first question goes to Mr. Tharaka Vikramasekhara. What is happening in Sri Lanka? Why it has happened? What has led to these
Yeah.
deteriorating situation that we all people in India and all over the world, we are worried. And India has tried to send a lot of consignments of food, fuel, medicines, but still almost 2 crore 25 lakh people are suffering immensely. And we are with the people of Sri Lanka. Entire India is with the people of Sri Lanka. Your comments, Mr. Vikramasekhara.
Yeah. Uh, First, I want to tell my English knowledge is not good, but I'll try to tell. Just a minute.
I think your video has gone again. Just get be easy, no
Yeah.
issue. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then issue is me. That's not a political issue. That's our human issue because uh, nine, from 1948 uh, ruling our country, both major parties. One is UNP, we called United National Party. Now it's leader Ranil Wickremesinghe. Other parties also we call SLFP. We are called Sri Lanka Vidhas Paksha. We give the colors, we give the as a party colors means one is green. Green means UMP. Other one is that's a blue color.
Okay,
Every time we called blue color, easily our people told blue color party, and another one is green color party. Every elections, if our people's want some foods and anything, they try to take some food and other items. They try to uh, take a just free of charge. Then every partition part leaders before the election they give the many promise. We will give a, low price rice. We will give the low price fuel. We'll give the low price gas. Also they told we will do the every beneficiaries, and we will give the many with the new income and also give the new jobs. Lot of promises. After election, it's no anyone anything. Then no, and earlier government that we called Ranil Wickremesinghe government, they told you can buy every family can buy a car. We can give in Indian Maruti car. Every people can buy a car. But after the election, They introduced a new high tax for the car after the election. And I give only one example. Earlier, we we took about Sri Lankan rupees, about 70 rupees per price kilo. Now it's going up. Sri Lankan rupees over 250. 70 rupees to up to 250 within 1 year. It's a very expensive, but
Yeah.
our salaries it's no going up. So that's a that level. That's every people can't live. That's a big
Yeah.
problem. Every time, then our people first uh, select one party. If example, we appoint the blue color party, then after next election we give the our they try to other party. 74 years we try to that's the change only. That's the one is like a coin. Coin head coin and other one is the tail coin. That's only. But no people have no good situation. Earlier,
But
you know,
Mr. Tharaka, the Rajapakshas were very popular there, and people voted them in a very large majority, and they had a faith in him. And what exactly happened in last 2 3 years that Rajapakshas and President Rajapaksa, President Prime Minister Rajapaksa, even Finance Minister Rajapaksa, other people, and all entire family, they almost ruled entire country politically. So nobody else had the space there to rule actually, or just occupy some political seats there.
that,
So
that
what led to the love of the Rajapakshas? Why people voted such overwhelmingly for the Rajapakshas there?
Rajapaksa means he earlier we it was before I think over 30 years we have a lot of that's a big war. We LTT war that Rajapaksa government had closed it because I think it's not Rajapaksa's. Uh, I think it's a earlier former army commander Sarat Fonseca. He can uh, he finished the war. I think it's not Rajapaksa's duty. It is. I think it's the army commander has a really good mind because my younger brother died in also war. He's one of army officer. He died 1992 in Jaffna. Uh, I think Sarat Fonseca has a good mind. He has a very war mind in there. I think it's all he can he finished the war, but Rajapaksa took that. Yeah, I finished the war. Then it's my duty. Everything that our many peoples that view the Rajapaksa is a very good. It's a very our leader, our president. That then if take Rajapaksa had a good he around the people, then he with his brother, his wife, his son, everything, his all cousins come to the politician. Then people's some posters published the Rajapaksa's son, the Rajapaksa's daughter, example, Rajapaksa's cousins. Then people then try to select that person. That's the issue. Then they can come to power. Rajapaksa, then Mahinda Rajapaksa, his elder son, elder brother Chamal Rajapaksa, younger brothers, now President Gotabaya, and also the Basil Rajapaksa. And Chamal Rajapaksa's son means Shashindra Rajapaksa, also former state minister, also Mahinda Rajapaksa's son Nama Rajapaksa. Six politicians in our parliament, one family, one. That's a big problem. Then they try to rule the whole country. Every then that's a big issue. After that, our parliament, some example, Doctor Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, he had two PhD degrees. Yeah, then Mahinda Rajapaksa appointed his state minister. Only that's Doctor Doctor that's and Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is not that's some family member. It's another person. But Namal Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa's son, he was a cabinet minister, appointed a cabinet minister. Then two PhD had Dr. Rajapaksa. Dr. Rajapaksa means another person. It's not family members for the Mahinda Rajapaksa. It's our minister. Then only state minister. Then he resigned. I don't like to the state minister. That's the issue. Then the issue. All other lawyer, another doctor, another every knowledge they had with good knowledge. Politicians had no power. Then
I
that
will do
power
one
has.
thing. I'll come in the second round to you, Mr. Tharka Vikramasena. Let me get a feed from Mr. Sanjay Bhardwaj, who's a professor from the JNU. What exactly is his take on the situation right now, particularly in the Sri Lanka, and how we have reached this level where the anxieties, worries, and the people of the street, the situation is really miserable, and we feel very very sad. What exactly is happening on the streets of Colombo and other cities of Sri Lanka right now? Sanjay K. Bhardwaj ji.
Uh, thank you, Dineshi, for giving this opportunity, and I'm happy to have one panelist from Sri Lanka, and another is from a diplomatic community. He was very correct that Vikramashekhar, in a way, that basically what happened in last two decades, that Sri Lankan politics had gone from one community to one family.
Hmm.
And while it was one community, the people were celebrating in a way, uh, and basically that the popular politics has become a populist politics. And
Hmm.
what is happening in the democracy, particularly we talk about that the popular control over decision making and decision maker, the equality between the citizens. These are the two basic parameters for the democracy. And what it is required that there should be transparency, there should be accountability, there should be participation, and there should be representation from all the sections of the society. And it is very much expected from a country like Sri Lanka that there should be inclusive government. But what happened that because of the number of policy initiatives had been taken in Sri Lanka, because I'm trying to look this economic crisis, how this economic crisis has been transformed into a political crisis today, and now the people had come out that no community and no family, only the Sri Lankans, the nationalistic movement, that people they have come together now, the Tamils, the the Muslims, the Christians, the Sinhalas, they all have come together against one family, Rajpaksa family. In fact, the story starts long back while they have gone for the Only Sinhala Act, and that has led towards the majoritarian discourse, and that has become very violent in 1980s. In fact, and this has basically polarized the society between the Sinhala Buddhist community and the Tamils, in fact, in Sri Lanka. And this had gone from till 1990s and then early 2000. And it has become very critical for Sri Lanka being part of being fallen civil war and lot of loss of life and all that. But what exactly happened? That's well, Rajpaksa brother, Rajpaksa came into power in 2005. He tried to suppress basically this civil or this crisis, in fact, that civil war by force, by coercive measures. And in 2009 they have claimed that we have suppressed the conflicts, or the LTT, or you can say that the violent conflict in Sri Lanka, and now Sri Lanka would move for the peaceful path. But it was not there because they did not accommodate the voices of the minority community. They did not accommodate the voices of the Tamilians and Muslims and Christians and all that community that they had been marginalized during the Sinhala Buddhist discourse that has been created by Rajpaksa. This had gone further, and they have created basically that the popular politics become populist politics, and Rajpaksa family and brothers, they have become very populist, in fact, and they did not bother about that because the majority discourse are with them, and whatever they go for that. So what they did, they have led the country towards corruption. They have led the country towards nepotism. Okay, and they had taken number of policies policies that was good for their regime security, and whatever that they can do the corruptions. The Western powers, like the United States or like the European countries, even UN and even India, was not happy with the way they were trying to resolve the conflict. They are trying to resolve the problems of the minority community, because the coercive measures is not welcomed by the Western discourse and by the Indians, that you cannot suppress the human, you cannot go for the human right violations, you cannot suppress the voice of the minority community. And so they were not happy much with that. So to counterbalance this discourse, the Western discourse, Indian discourse, that Rajpaksa brothers and international fora had bandwagon towards China, and they have developed closer partnership, strategic and economic partnership with China. In fact, for the trading and for the investment and all that. And what the Chinese, they have come with the investment. That those investment was low return investment. They were not much return from this investment. This is one thing, and second thing, that they have started providing loan or and debt basically to Sri Lanka, and that was also on the bilateral terms. While it is multilateral, because UN and IMF and all multilateral agencies were linking their loan and their assistance with the minority issues, with the human rights, with the political participation and all that. China doesn't bother about democracy, about the human rights and all that. So Chinese, they had found an opportunity to bust themselves in Sri Lanka and developed closer strategic and political partnership with Rajpaksa brother, and that has led the country towards that trap, in fact. And meanwhile, the some of the policies, the policy, because of the pandemic, the tourists had started coming very less in Sri Lanka. That has been a big industry in Sri Lanka. Second, they have also introduced that organic farming system, and they have banned all fertilizers and all that. And the third, this has led further, because of the debt trap, because of the lack of foreign reserves. They have less than $1 billion foreign reserves. That the debt has reached from 127% of their GDP. Their currency has devalued 75%, and that inflation has gone around 47%. And they are supposed to pay around $7 billion that by 2026. This has led the country towards food crisis, towards fuel crisis and medicine crisis. And this has economic crisis, and the long separations of the many of the liberal, progressive, inclusive forces in Sri Lanka had clubbed together, and they have revolted against one. It was against one family, in fact, who had led towards the country towards corruption and nepotism. So this is the entire story that I do find, and of course, they try to concentrate power into president's house. What Sirisena did, they did not like, and they have changed it, and they have made again the president's house very powerful. So you cannot do. So these are the issues that had led Sri Lanka towards economic crisis, towards political crisis. And what is happening today in Sri Lanka, in the president house or the prime minister house. It is also not democracy, I would say. It is not also, and there is law and order failure, and that also goes in the credit of Rajpaksa brothers and the leaders that led the country towards. Because you go in 1960s, 1970s, that human development index was very high in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was, the considered one of the best, one of the developed country in Asia. But where the Sri Lanka had gone, because of the politics, or one communities ruled by one family, and that had created this kind of situation in Sri Lanka, that gone towards a further civil war.
Very, very true. Very true. I totally agree. I'll go to now Dr. Ketan Shukla, the former ambassador of India in many countries. Uh, Sri Lanka is a beautiful country, and although I had not been to Sri Lanka except going to the transit route to Colombo Airport and recently, but it had the per capita income of more than $4,000. And then Haman Tota has gone to the long lease to the Chinese actually. Actually, the Chinese borrowings and maybe the the tilting or the distortions in the economy as well as in politics has led to this particular disaster. I'll call it disaster right now. And Professor Bhardwaj has explained it beautifully that how they have reached these proportions actually. And Mr. Saab, how you look at this problem of Sri Lanka and how it can be resolved? That is my question.
It's a very beautiful country. Even I have many friends. Now, actually, what we can say, we cannot see this whole problem with one prism. It is socio-economic political problem. As you correctly mentioned, the problem has started. There was some simmering, but in 2019, their per capita income was $4,000. Their GDP nominal and PPP was very good. Even Human Development Index, also Sri Lanka was doing very good. So everyone was expecting it. Sri Lanka will do very good in future. Now Rajpaksa, he was a war hero. Now he has become villain. So he is what you can say in history. We can find one character Humayun.
Hmm.
He is victim of circumstances. He created circumstances for himself.
Yeah.
So this is the problem. It started basically as Professor Bharadwaj said in 1972. They declared a Buddhist state. Afterwards, everything was getting little bit settled down. But in Sri Lanka, first a basic problem started 5-10 years before, and Bodhu Sena, which is known as Buddhist force and Ravana Balya. I think Vikram Khiji must be knowing Sinhala Ravana outgroup. This group started getting interfering, and they are getting more and more support. So this Sri Lanka Buddhism is Theravada Buddhism, but these Buddhists are like the Dalai Lamas of medieval time or Myanmar Buddhist. So they are what you can say little bit militant. So now this is in multi-ethnic society where there are 10% Muslim, Tamil 20% and Christian. So this was little bit of problem. And first thing, the trigger was 2019 Easter bombing. Sri Lanka's basic income is tourism. After Easter bombing, tourism, they have actually three basic things: rubber, tea, and tourism. So that was the first beginning of the problem. Then COVID came. Again, COVID tourism income fall very fast. So they, in spite of having $7.6 billion foreign exchange in 2019, now the political problem started because it was a cabal. One can say Chamal, Namal, Bazir, Sasindra, Mahin, all family members, and particularly last 1 year, Mahin, Prime Minister and Presidents were having little bit of differences. This was another problem in the domestic politics. So this created problem because, as correctly Vikram Siraj said, that we have seen this beginning of these free bites in Tamil Nadu. So maybe it is a culture exported from long time back, and the problem started because it was a economy has the twin deficit economy. They started printing notes and expenditure exceed the income, and tradable good and service income was less, particularly after tourism. And another big mistake they did was biological and organic. So that farmers, rice farming particularly and tea farming suffer. Now there is a difference between Indian economy, Chinese economy, and Sri Lankan economy, that which people must understand that they don't have strong manufacturing sector. So when this started happening, then their deficit started increasing, and the people are complaining China, but Sri Lanka has $51 billion debt. That majority is the multilateral organization. Japan has 12%. Today, I would like to give tribute to Abe also. He has played very important role in the NATO and also in Asia region. So Japan debt is more than even Chinese debt. But problem started with Chinese debt because Chinese debt is a Vikram is saying it is a low return. I say it is a debt trap. Maldives has 30%, Congo has 40%. 30 countries are suffering because of Chinese debt trap. And China's problem is now this problem, how it can be solved. China's problem is if they give any concession to Sri Lanka, then other 40 countries also they have to see how they will resolve, because the debt trap is not only for one country, it is for 40 countries in Africa, Asia and Central Asia. Now, if we see the why it happened, then after COVID, particularly foreign exchange started dwindling, and no, there were no economic policy. So this led to very serious vicious cycle, and this cycle to break was very difficult. And IMF could have given them loan, but after pandemic, Ukraine crisis, this is the another problem again came. So no one can blame it was because of this that it was a what Napoleon says, disaster doesn't come in battalion, it come in salvos. And I think our neighboring country, particularly Pakistan also, Imran Khan faced this problem. Now Sri Lanka is facing problem, but this problem is not for the region. This is a global phenomena now. You must have seen Boris Johnson has to resign. Macron lost his parliamentary majority. I feel Bolsonaro may lose the election and Lula may win. Biden is having 40% rating. He may lose the Senate majority. So now this problem is global. Everyone focus is Ukraine. So this is again little bit of bad luck for Sri Lanka. That this is not a very big amount. It is 1 week expenditure of Ukraine war. But now whole world is looking more at Ukraine. All resources are going to Ukraine. So in this situation, I think Sri Lanka will have 1 or 2 years. So best situation or possible solution is that now their speaker, Mahinda Abhay Varman, he will become acting president. All party meeting is going to happen. So in this situation, they I think opposition party has good economist. I think Mr. Vikram Ikra will explain that. So they may, we hope that as fast as they have some good government which stabilize the country, and in this situation, our interest is very big because we have $1.8 billion investment. We have already given them $4.5 billion assistance, but 70% of the transshipment is via Colombo port. So it is a strategically important. Asia Pacific trade also 60% passes through the Malaga Strait and all that. So for us, it is important if we must help Sri Lanka as much as possible. Culture is same. Asoka sent since that time. So our relationships are more than 2000 years, and our Operation Pawan and everywhere. So I think this ethnic thing is not very important at present. At present, very important thing is economic thing. And now I hope new government will stop this Charvak philosophy. Runam krutva dhutam pibba. Take debt and use money, enjoy. Now the whole world is going, even bitterness today declared recession. So in this tough situation, it will be tough time for Sri Lanka people. Aggression stop. It is a good. He should have resigned earlier. But again, to give up power is very difficult. They are the follower of Asoka's Buddhism, which Asoka said. Asoka left his kingdom. So I think Rajpaksa would have left earlier, but still, I hope that our sympathies are there, but they must resolve it, and particularly economic policy will be harsh because there is no other solution. Printing note will be not a solution, which happened in 2008 and 2009 crisis when America printed $1.5 trillion notes. So they will have faced some serious measure. I think there is a donor fund meeting in Japan, which has 12% of that, more than even China. And Ma Buddhist Society in Sri Lanka is very active. They have good relations with China. China is having very now proactive foreign policy. They are member of Quad, and India is also in Quad. So I hope that they have new government as soon as possible, because again opposition has no good leader who can lead the whole country. And Sri Lanka, worst case scenario, army may become very prominent, which is neither good for Sri Lanka nor any neighboring country or even geopolitical situation, because China may become prominent. 99 years they have this Ambota port and all that. So in this situation, ideal thing is democracy must survive. Opposition leaders should come together, and some good economists take good measure, and we can hope for the best. I am sure that Sri Lanka is a very old civilization, thousands of years. So I think good sense will prevail. Ethnic problem is not there, but my worry is that this all militant Buddhism and Rajpaksa in politics, it may happen. So if problem is solved earlier, it is a very good for India and also whole world. We wish them good.
Naturally, I'll come to my last round right now to Mr. Saraka Vikramasekhara. Now, since the people are on the street right now, that's not a good scene. It's a state of anarchy. We don't know who's ruling Sri Lanka right now. President is gone, Prime Minister is gone. Maybe the speaker, I think that there was news on the television channels that speaker may emerge as a consensus candidate for some time. Ultimately, there has to be leaders. Somebody should lead the country. If there is no leader, there is total vacuum there. Then it's a total anarchy and it becomes banana republic then. How do you see, Mr. Vikram Sekra, the situation emerging now, and what are the solutions what you can foresee right now?
This situation is not good because next Wednesday, our president will resign. Gotabaya Rajapaksa will resign. Also, Prime Minister is also will resign. Then you told that's speaker. He will appoint temporary president. I think within 30 days. Constitution. Then we can select another president in our parliament. 2025 members. They can select one person because we can't select another person except parliament members. We have our constitution. We can select only that person, but our peoples they like that person. That's a big problem. They like appoint the 2025 person for the president, but we can't go ahead without our constitution. The constitution is select only the one person in our parliament only. They can't appoint another person. That's a problem. But people don't like the person. That's every people, Sinhala or Tamil or Muslim or another people they don't like. Also, we can see opposite. That's opposition parties. They try to come to power every time. Like UMP, that's the Samagana Balavega, another one see Janata Mukti Permo, we call JVP. They try to come to power. They but they don't like. It's my mind only. It's my mind. They don't like to take the good solution the issue. They won't come to only power. I told that's we can see JVP, Samajana Balavega, and other
But
parties.
who can give the solutions? Who can stabilize the situation?
That's a big problem. Everyone can't give the solution. We can go only through our constitution. That's a big problem. People earlier our people every time they shouted go ta go. But first they told that's Mahinda Rajapaksa go. That's last 9th of May. Then we have a big issue. I think you saw the big issue and very ministers' houses burned and big problem. And after that, that's Mahinda Rajapaksa resigned. That's 9th of May. That's former Prime Minister. Then appoint the Ranil Wickremesinghe. They have only parties had only the one seat. Our history appoint Prime Minister. That's the issue. That's the first time. UNP had only one seat. They can't appoint the Prime Minister. That's the second big issue. But I think I saw that meaning is that's Mahinda Rajapaksa and president and that's government party won't save their ruling. Therefore, appoint the Ranil Wickremesinghe.
I think there has to be some kind of combination from different political parties to come together for the common cause of Sri Lanka, that they can stabilize the country, they can stabilize the economy, they can have the talks for the borrowings from the IMF, and the donors meeting is right now happening. So somehow some solution has to be sought by through a combination of the political parties and their representatives coming together for the cause of Sri Lanka, not just because they're personal, they want to become some ministers or prime minister or president once again. The fight should be to save the Sri Lanka, not to get elevated to the higher post right now. Right, Mr. Vikrama?
Yeah, I think first we want to save our country, but every party they don't like that issue. They try to come to power only. That's a big issue because first we want to save our country. Next we want a big loan like what Dr. Ketan told IMF and thing. We have loan because we haven't no fuel, no gas, and no medicine. That's First, we many parties told we called one of intermediate government. They one says many politicians told, and also our if monks and other uh, religions they told, say please come to the power for the interim government, but they don't like. That's the issue. If one, let's say, in the interim government will power, come to will power, it's a solutions. This issue because one party, one member, they can come to power. That's board like a committee board, appoint committee board or something, and they don't like. That's a big issue. Every time people come to out the road, then they go to burn houses. They first our history first time entered the prime president house and
That's
prime
true.
minister house. That's a
True,
big
true,
issue.
true, true, true. So I'll come to Professor Bhardwaj. Uh, Situation is very tricky right now. Just unmute yourself, sir. Situation is extremely tricky. The question is of survival of Sri Lanka. And America has given one statement, positive statement, that they also hope for the some kind of stabilization of situation through some kind of positive and productive acts, or maybe the proactive policies will be coming in the picture. And America also, I think, wants, along with India, that Sri Lanka stabilizes as early as possible, because otherwise it's a danger to the particular this region of the South Asia. Now, from where, how you look at the situation and what kind of scenarios are emerging, what kind of solutions do you see that may emerge and that can stabilize and save the Sri Lanka from disaster?
Very true, very true. In fact, let me see how India is looking forward in Sri Lanka. India has very clear-cut policy objectives with any of the neighboring countries, and with specific to Sri Lanka as well. That first, of course, the security is very important aspects. That any extra regional power should not take the advantage of the situation that what is arising in Sri Lanka. That creates the internal and external security threat to the region. So India is very concerned about the developments, what is taking place in Sri Lanka, and so second thing that of course India is also looking forward that a economic development and economic security is also very important aspect, because if there would be no economic security in Sri Lanka, what would happen? What would happen? That there would be more migration. More migration. Earlier, the migration was because of the civil war and conflicts in Sri Lanka. Now there would be migration for job security, and that for the food security or economic security, whatever the people will migrate. And what is the natural destination? It is India. And of course, like, if the political third, of course, India is looking that there should be a stable, politically stable government, so that the country should not go for the political standoff and chaos that would further lead the country. And we have experienced that what the political stability and instability was in, or civil war was in Sri Lanka. India has suffered. A number of people had migrated from Sri Lankan island to Indian state. Now, the second question is that how we can resolve, how can we can move ahead. Of course, there could be a constitutional solution. What could be the constitutional solution? That if president resigns on 30th, on Wednesday, then the next is that the prime minister should become the president. But prime minister is also resigning here, so it is creating another problem. Third option is that a person from the parliament could be elected as the president, but and that should also be with the full absolute majority, like 50% votes should be covered by that person. Well, if that person is also coming from the ruling party and will not be accepted to the people, that creates further problem. Now, the second option is that there could be a national government, in fact. But who is accepting national government? The Premadasa, Vikram Singhe, or who is accepting, who are coming to form the national government, or the people from different political parties, they are coming and they are coming. The problem is that none of these political stakeholders, none of these political people, they do not have any solution to this present economic crisis. That is the thing that if anybody will take the lead and that if he is not providing a solution to this economic crisis, then he will become again like Rajpaksa and Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh came into picture, but what happened? That Vikram Singh has to go. The people is not accepting. They are also uh, has also occupied his prime minister house. So my point is that in this situation, what could be there? So I'm an academician. I do find that, of course, there is sovereign rights. There are we have to respect the sovereignty in all these countries, but the regional power, in fact, being India is a responsible regional power. I think India should take lead for giving a political and economic stability, in particularly I would say economic stability, in the sense that the Sri Lanka can stabilize economic issues with the help of the Western power, with the help of the IMF and all that. That India should come, take the lead to stabilize the economy of Sri Lanka, and that would, I think, help Sri Lanka to bring back their politics in normalcy. What happened, still the maneuvering and number of things are happening. The way Rajpaksa was not popular while Sri Sena was the president. But they have declared presidency election just after the terrorist attack in Sri Lanka in 2018, and after that again they have polarized society. So because the polarizations or partisans or confrontational politics had been dominating in Sri Lanka for last well, more than 2 decades. So I think while you are coming out from these things, I think that there should be a national consensus, and I'm sure that the military is again a South Asian phenomenon. The military also played, so that kind of things should also not happen. We has to be very careful. So my submission is there, but while India has been supporting to Sri Lanka through economic assistance, we have already extended $3.5 billion for the fuels and for medicines and for other things. I think the international community should ask India to act more, so that the political stability in Thailand state can be ensured, and that there could be economic stability as well. And the extra regional power who are taking the advantage of the situations in past decades should kept out of this, because the world, the direction in the world is going is not good. Like we are going for more realistic constructs or realistic ideologies, where the military alliances and military build-up and wars, and these are leading in Ukraine and in Quad and in all that. What is happening in South China Sea or Indian Ocean and all that. I think that would lead Sri Lanka in bad situation if it is not dealt very, 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 very smartly, very cleverly. And India has to take the lead to come out a solution in this region, and they could be established an inclusive, democratic, liberal government where all the sections of the society, they should be participatory, inclusive government, or there should be representation from all the societies that could provide a political stability to the country. So there are two things, like the economic stability, where India and the multilateral institutions and the Western world can help, and a political stability is that where uh, we can help to bring a consensus, a national government, including every section, representing every sections of the society.
That's great. That's great. I'll come for the last comment to Ambassador Saab, Dr. Ketan Shukla. Sri Lanka has collapsed, no doubt. They themselves have declared, actually. Then I believe the donor country and India has to take a extremely proactive role right now in Sri Lanka to protect the sovereignty and unity of this country, not just for the safety and security of the entire South Asia or the region itself, just because there are, you can say, consequences of not saving the Sri Lanka. And that is far more serious and grave as far as if we don't act right now. There might be a possibility that parliament may be dissolved for a temporary period of, say, 1 or 2 years there, and a national consensus government can be installed with the help of the donor countries or with the other powers also, which can save the Sri Lanka first. And yes, then parliamentary democracy can be restored after 6 months or 8 months. Once a political stability is there, economically some kind of stabilization is there, then of course entire setup can be restored back to have the elections and other things also. Your last comment, sir, Dr. Sir.
Actually, there are some two, three scenarios are possible. One is Sri Lanka can go for a failed state, which is not good for India or other neighboring country. Second thing, army. Army may play very prominent role. That is also not very good situation for India or other whole world. Now, third thing is we play proactive, prominent role. I think in this century, we have one experience. So our foreign minister has very clearly said that we will give all the help. So our role should be limited with the economic. I think any neighboring country, we should not interfere. Neither we should give any impression remotely that we are going to have any interference in their political situation. Third thing, base scenario is now president has resigned, prime minister resigned, so now speaker will be acting president. So all party will be the base thing because the prime minister was one party man and that also nominated what already Mr. say. So all party comes together. That is very good. This is Sri Lanka's problem. Sri Lanka will has to solve politically. That is their political problem. Economically, we have already given $4.5 billion plus. I think yesterday our ambassador met their agriculture minister and announced 40,000 ton of fertilizer. Japan donor meeting will be there. America is also, as I told, it is a very important for Asia Pacific. Donor summit, we should take prominent role. But as far as political and other things are concerned, because particularly if Sri Lanka become failed state, then migration will become a big problem, refugee problem. We have seen last few years, Bangladesh prosperity is very good for us because now we don't find that problem that people are coming from Bangladesh.
True.
So I personally feel that, and I think it will happen like that. All party, maybe or otherwise, there may be some interim government. They will try to form election if they go after 5 6 months. But I don't think anyone will go for election because we have seen in now Pakistan ruling party is facing problem. So whosoever will come and correctly, Mr. say that go Mahendra go Gotaya go. But now anyone will come within 6 months. He also faced that problem. So in this situation, I think we should try to help as much as particularly essential commodity. We are very good in pharmaceutical. We are providing them fuel. We are providing them some assistance in loan. And also, I think there should be restructuring of the debt. IMF, China, India, and even all other country can sit under one umbrella. But that umbrella should be either UN or even Japan, because Japan, they are doing donor. That would be ideal. Any proactive, I think any statement even, we should keep like Bhutan, we have over the years excellent relation. Nepal, we have little bit we have seen. So our role should be active, proactive for the economic help, even the humanitarian help, and any other help we can provide. But I think it is Sri Lanka's problem, which Sri Lankan will solve, and I am very sure. There is a very famous song, Gam ki andheri raat mein, it is very dark cloud. दिल को ना बेकरार कर सुबह जरूर आएगी there will be dawn, there will be bright future, and it is all over world. 1 or 2 years are very tough. So I think within 1 and 1.5 year, Singhe, you will have again tourism, tea, rubber, and everything. Again, you will be 10% growth rate. We wish you good luck.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all love Sri Lanka. We all love Sri Lankans also, and our good wishes are for them. And also, one good news was there on which I had an episode also on our channel that normally around 40,000 of the hectares are used in Sri Lanka for the plantation of the paddy actually. But this year, 47,000 hectares are sown with the paddy. And by October, or September, October, when they will be having the crop of the rice, the paddy particularly, and that they will be having 25%, almost to 20% more crop of the rice in October month. I think that will be a stabilizing factor because in food sector, that will give the huge support to the people because foodstuff will be available in the market at the reasonable prices, and people will be able to buy that one. So local production, local sustenance is absolutely must as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. I believe once by the time we reach the September October month and the paddy uh, harvesting is taking place, I think yeah, Professor Bhardwaj, you want to say something?
No, no. In fact, let me be very clear about it. You know, India is we our political economic interest are there are complex interdependencies. You know, we have spillover impact across the border. Either it happens something in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or in Nepal and Bhutan. You know, we are because of the complex nature of the society and polity of this region. My point is very simple. I do agree with the Ambassador Shukla that what he is talking that we are not going to intervene politically anyhow. That's not the India haven't done anything in the past 70 years. We had been, but my point is that India has to play a role of responsible regional power. What would happen otherwise? I'll give you one example that there were Rohingya crisis in between Myanmar and Bangladesh. Basically, they were, and you know, India said no, no, we are not neither this neither this, and Chinese had come with a solution that oh yes, we give a formula that these are the three formula, and you know what happened that the whole of the India's regional power had reduced, and the Chinese had started acting in the regional issues. So my point is here I don't know whatever what either they are successful or not successful, but at a time that Bangladeshi they started saying, see, India is did not help us, did not come us, and the Chinese had come out. So my point is there. I think rather than we give the lead to the extra regional powers to act in this island state, and they come with the huge support or whatever economic solution. So my point is there that India should help Sri Lanka to develop a political consensus within the country. So, political that could be directly or indirectly, and all that. Otherwise, what would happen that it would further lead to the political chaos. So, India not interfering, not asking anything. That is a sovereign, independent state, Sri Lanka. But how you can create an environment, you can help Sri Lanka to come out with a stable political system that could it may be I know in the past also that there were Norwegian mediation in Sri Lankan case could not be successful, and what they did, they suppressed militarily the voices. So my point is simple that how what could be the India's how India can play reasonable responsible regional power a part of giving the economic assistance.
That's true. That's true. I think that Dr. Ketan Shukla was also emphasizing that a UN umbrella, United Nations umbrella, can be a much better proposition as far as stabilization of the political forces are concerned. Yes, Dr. Shukla.
I want to clarify two things. In foreign policy, particularly Myanmar, we have our Northeast policy. So we don't interfere. Fernandez time, we have seen the result. So that is the first thing. Second thing, we don't have direct involvement with any party, GVP, SBG, blue, green, or even yellow, we can say Mong. So in that situation, if you try to influence anywhere, there is a soft power policy. Maybe we are having some kind of interaction. But in foreign policy, the things are not as like what you can say. It has prism, 7 colors. You have to be very careful. We have seen the results in the LTTE, Norway and all that outsider, they play and come and go. But we have long-term interest. Today is one party, tomorrow is second party. And in this kind of situation, our foreign minister has given very correct statement. We will give all possible help. And that should be our foreign policy. And second, very important thing, Myanmar, Fernandez time, that students were coming to his house and then 10 years, there are very big disturbances. So China policy, we cannot follow. We are democracy. And we are doing this. Like Bhutan, over the years, we have very excellent policy. Nepal, we interfere a little bit. We have seen the result. There is a very nice saying in UP, jitni lambi chadar, utne pav pasar. And base thing is economy for the time being. And I think Mr. Tarakji also will agree. If you want your problem politically solved by yourself, but we will provide you all humanitarian, social, economic help. I think that is what people of Sri Lanka would love to have. You can give. You are the best person to judge.
Definitely,
they,
definitely. So, yeah,
yeah,
Mr. Tarka, you want to say something?
yeah, our people want to like a peace country, and also they want a good economy. But we haven't good economy. We have only low salary, but every food items are very expensive. They can't buy nowadays. It's a big economic problem.
Yeah, it's a miserable state right now, and we wish that by the time another 2 3 months, the things will start improving. Once the paddy starts improving, the harvesting takes place, something will happen, and good luck will start. So, our good wishes are for the people of Sri Lanka, and I believe the situation gets stabilizes as fast as possible. So, we would convey our thanks to our all panelists, Dr. Ketan Shukla, Mr. Tharka Vikramasekara, who is joined from Colombo, and Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj from Delhi, JNU. Thank you very much for joining this very positive and productive debate on the crisis in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. I apologize my language. So I'm sorry.
You're
I
most
will
welcome,
say
sir.
Buddham Saranam Gachami. God is
Okay.
great.
Yeah,
You
Thirman.
get
Okay.
good,
Okay.
very
Thank
good.
you,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very
thank
much.
you,
Okay. Okay,
thank you,
welcome.
thank you.